If you look at the deal that I did with the Porsche Cayman, I was only paying £60 and some pence a month. So when I drove out of that dealership, I basically thought I'd stolen the car. However, there is one thing that we've overlooked here. There's one more thing to factor in, and that is the balloon payment. And when that payment comes in, that's when you think, whoa. Today's video is going to be slightly different from the usual videos that I do, because this video I want to talk about money. Now, the first thing I've got to make clear before we go any further with this video is that I am not a financial advisor. I am not in the industry of finance at all, but I do know how to work out how much money goes out of my account, and I also know how to work out the difference between the price I paid for a car and the price I sold it or traded it in for. Virtually everyone now is buying their cars using the PCP system, and that is exactly what I did when I bought a Porsche Cayman. If you've watched my videos from the start of this year or early last year, you'll see that I bought a beautiful yellow Porsche Cayman. It was an absolutely fantastic car. Now, the thing is, when I went to the Porsche dealership, I just happened to be wandering around the dealership and I saw this beautiful Cayman, and the guy at the dealership came up to me and said, you know, are you interested in buying the car? And I said, absolutely, I'd love to own this car. And I simply said to him, there is no way that I could afford to come in here and write you a check. And that's when he said, but you don't need to. He says, well, if we take your current car as a trade-in, we will then give you cash back of over £3,000. They took my old car as a trade-in, and I would be able to have that Porsche for just £60 a month. £60 a month. Now, when I tell most people about this, they simply don't believe that I could have a car like that for just £60 a month. I have here the actual contract that I had on that Cayman, and here it is. So there it is. It's from Porsche, as you can see, and if we scroll down to the monthly payments, you will see there that I was paying just £60 and a few pence per month. You know, some people pay more than that for their live sports TV subscription, but that deal wasn't actually as good as it appears. For many people, PCP is a fantastic thing. It's allowing them to go and obtain cars that normally they would never even think of getting, and to experience what it's like to own those cars. And I was one of them. As far as the car industry is concerned, it's probably one of the best things that ever happened, because it's allowing those car dealers to sell you and I cars that we would otherwise never consider buying. But at the same time, I also believe that it's allowing manufacturers and dealers to price cars at more money than they would normally sell for, because now they've got the vehicle of PCP to actually sell those cars at pretty well any price they want. When you look at the market now, we're seeing things like Porsche Boxsters going out at £55,000 and upwards for a Porsche Boxster. We're seeing the Lotuses, like this Lotus Exige that I have, they're now going out at £65,000. And I just can't believe that those cars are actually worth that amount of money. And not only that, I think the banks are struggling to believe that the cars are worth that amount of money, because on the front page of one of the national papers recently, and it was on the front page, there was an article about the banks now becoming extremely worried that the PCP contracts don't reflect the true value of the car should you default on the contract. So, in order to try and understand and unravel the true cost of PCP, what I decided to do was to look at the historic receipts for the cars that I'd bought in the past for cash and do a comparison to how much I would have lost on those cars when I traded them in if I'd have done the same deal, exactly the same deal, using PCP. Okay, so I'm going to try and work out the actual difference in cost between using cash and PCP, how it affects the cost of the purchase, by using some actual receipts from a car that I bought a few years ago. So this example is a Porsche 996 convertible, bought it a few years ago, and I'm going to use the actual price that I paid for the car and the trading value that I was given when I traded the car back in. We're going to go on the web and have a look at a genuine PCP deal based on the exact same figures, so we can work out what the difference is in real terms. And what a lot of people don't know is that you can now get PCP deals from a bank. You do not have to do PCP at a dealer. In actual fact, some of the car dealers I talk to are completely gobsmacked when they realise that you can do this through a bank. These are actual figures, so we're looking at real numbers here. So the purchase price of the car in UK pounds back then was £19,500. I kept the car for 12 months, and then when I traded it in, the dealer gave me back £15,700. So in my way of calculating things, the net cost, as I'm going to call it, the difference between the price I bought it for and the price I got traded back in with, is £3,800. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to work out the same thing, exactly the same numbers, but this time assuming that I'm using PCP to buy the car instead of doing it cash. So I'm now on the Halifax Bank website looking at their car finance online calculator. The same deal for the Porsche 996 Cabriolet that I bought, but this time using PCP. So I bought the car for £19,500. Now, in order to get a PCP deal, you really do need to have a deposit. So we're going to go with what is a pretty reasonable deposit of £5,000. And then the amount of time we intend to keep the car, I'm going 12 months. We're using 12 months because that's how long I actually kept it. So we have now got a very, very close comparison now between the cash deal I really did and back then and the deal I could have done if I'd have used the PCP rate, which is extremely competitive as well. Here is the PCP deal that the bank is offering us. They're basically saying we put a deposit down of £5,000, perfectly reasonable deposit. We then have to make 11 monthly payments of £160.99 a month, which equals £1,770 and some pence over that period. So over the 12 months of that contract, so far we have paid £6,770.89. At this point, we're all thinking, fantastic, we've got a great deal, because we've only put £5,000 down, we're only paying £160 and some pence per month, and we've got ourselves a beautiful Porsche 911 convertible. There's one more thing to factor in, and that is the balloon payment. And when that payment comes in, that's when you think, whoa. And at that point, it's back to the drawing board. The optional final payment price given by the website for this car then is £13,328.50. And the total we paid was the deposit plus the 11 monthly payments plus the optional balloon payment at the end. And that gives us a total price of £20,099.39. If you're looking at the deal the way I am, and you're taking the true cost of that car as the purchase price less the trade-in you're going to get back, because in PCP that's what most likely you're going to do, then the extra cost of that PCP amount becomes far bigger. The total paid from the trade-in given back. So the PCP net cost of this car, by deducting those two, is £4,399 to the nearest pound. So we have paid £599 more than if we'd have done it by cash. And a dealer will say, well, actually that's not bad, because you've bought a nearly £20,000 car and you've only paid £599 more than you would have done if you'd have paid cash. There is another way of looking at these numbers though, and that is £599. If you look at the difference you've paid relevant to the net cost that you would have paid if you'd have done it cash, that's almost 16% more than you would have paid if you'd have paid it cash. What happens when the dealer says, I will pay the loan off for you? This is what they usually do, and then give you a trade-in, just to show that these numbers don't change. So in this case, he's still giving you the same trade-in price, that stays the same. So he's giving you a trade-in of £15,700. So he's making the optional final payment. He says, I'll do that for you. So that's £13,328. He's paid the loan. He's now giving you back then £2,371. That's how much he's giving you back. The amount you paid out of your bank was £6,000 over the period that you had the car, was £6,770, 89 pence. The amount that the dealer gave you back was £2,371, 50 pence if you want to be absolutely accurate. And lo and behold, deduct one from the other, you have paid £4,399.39p, i.e. exactly the same as this number here. The key thing is here, the amount you're putting in relative to the price of the car and the amount you're getting back if the dealer pays it off for you. All these are very, very small numbers relative to the actual price of the car itself. You're not dealing with the kind of big numbers that you would have had to if you were paying cash. There is one last option, of course, and that is to give the car back and walk away. So if you hand the car back, you basically walk away and the finance company keeps your deposit, and they also keep all of the monthly payments that you made. So we're simply back to this figure here. So you will have lost £6,700 in this example, and £70, 89 pence. This is the worst thing you can do really, in this example anyway, because, and I think probably in most examples, because handing the car back you lose all of your monthly payments and your deposit. So you would have lost on that car in 1 year £6,770, as opposed to just £3,800 if you'd have done it cash, or £4,399 if you'd have traded it in. If you're finding that doing all these calculations to work out how much extra PCP is costing you is just giving you a major headache, then there is some good news. Because here in the UK, what I'm finding is a lot of the mainstream dealers, BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, they are now doing these calculations for you and displaying them on a billboard next to the car. All you have to do is look at the purchase price of the car at the top and then scan your eye down, and you will then see the final payment cost including the PCP. Let's go and have a look at a beautiful Porsche Boxster S. So here we have a beautiful Porsche Boxster S in blue, beautiful leather interior, We've got lots of extras on this car, really nice car. But how much does it cost and how much extra are we paying for the PCP? So quickly scanning your eye down the board, we can see that the final on the road price of that car is £68,861. And if you scan your eye down, you can see that we're required here to put a deposit down of £25,276.91 in order to do this PCP deal. And then at the end of it, we have to make a final payment, optional payment, of £29,551.65, giving us a total payment on that car if we did it for the full 3-year period of £79,338.21. Because the dealers are now displaying this information, this makes this calculation really quick and easy because they've done all the numbers for us. We know that the purchase price on that car, if we paid cash, is £68,861. We also know that the final price, if we use PCP, is £79,338.21. So to get the difference, you just deduct one from the other. The PCP price minus the cash price gives us a difference of £10,478.21. That's a big difference. And that equates to 15% of the purchase price of the car. We very quickly established that we are paying over £10,000 in interest on this PCP deal. The whole idea of PCP is that you trade it back in after the end of the period. That's what the dealer wants you to do. So the true net cost of that car, or loss, is the purchase price minus the trade-in that you get back. We don't know what the trade-in price is going to be in 3 years' time. All we can do is guess it. I am going to look in my crystal ball and make a guess that the trade-in price after 3 years is £40,000. So how much extra did we lose by doing it via PCP as opposed to cash after we traded the car in? A whopping 36% more using PCP. It's 36% more than you'd have lost if you'd have done it by cash. So we're going to put the same information in, purchase price of the car, the deposit as per the example on the dealer's display board, the term of the finance, exactly the same, but this time when we look at it, the APR being offered by the bank is considerably lower. I've put in blue the numbers as per the PCP if we do it through the bank. £73,498. That would be how much the car would cost if we use the bank's PCP offer. So the total amount difference we've saved if we'd have done it through the bank instead of going through the dealer is £5,839.33p. So that's a £5,800 saving by using the PCP through the bank instead of doing the PCP with the dealer. In reality, a lot of people trade the car in early, and that basically means you will be paying less interest. You'll probably get more back for the car than you would have done if you went the full 3 years because it hasn't depreciated as much. So it doesn't have to be on the scale that we've seen here. Those numbers might be smaller. So the question in this video was, is PCP a good thing? And I guess it depends on where you sit on the fence with this, because if you're a car dealer, PCP is great. It's a brilliant thing because it allows you as a car dealer to sell the customer vastly more expensive cars than you normally would have done. If you're a car manufacturer, it's great because it allows you to price your cars at least some way higher than you normally would have done, because now you can say to the customer, well, if you can't afford to buy it, just put a deposit down and pay it on PCP. So is PCP a good thing for us as a consumer? Well, that really comes down to several factors that you have to consider. PCP is giving us the leverage to get into cars that otherwise we would never consider buying. That's exactly what happened to me with the Porsche Cayman, as you saw. If you are doing the calculations that I've done here and you're comfortable with the extra amount that you're going to lose by taking out a PCP contract, then maybe it will work for you. If, having done the calculations, you decide that PCP is the thing for you, the thing you've got to make sure of is that 1, you can keep up the monthly payments, and 2, that you can stay below the contracted mileage on that contract. Now, I accept this is certainly not the most exciting video I've ever made. Looking at all these numbers is pretty boring. However, in the time that I've looked into this subject, it really has made me look at cars in a completely different way. When you consider that you are, when you take a PCP loan out, borrowing money to buy something which is almost certain to be doing nothing more than going down in price. If there's anything I learned from the Porsche Cayman contract or purchase that I did, you've got to know what you're going to do when that final balloon optional payment comes in. So having taken in all this information, what I've decided to do is, rather than look at some of these amazing sports cars that are extremely expensive and almost demand a PCP contract to be able to afford them, over the next few months I've decided to go out and look for some cars that you really can buy for cash, that are equally exciting to drive, and that you won't need, hopefully, to take out massive PCP contracts.